Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to tell you a little bit about our Module 2 project, which is focused on document design, creating effective visuals. And of course, you'll want to make sure you read through these instructions more thoroughly on your own to make sure you have a good understanding of them and what is required of it. Just as if we were in a physical classroom, I might go over the instructions for a project with you. That's what I'm going to be doing in this video to talk through it, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you in understanding what this project involves. So first, of course, we have the general purpose and overview here. And for this project, really, you'll be putting into practice the class concepts we've been having on visual design by creating an effective visual document, which is for a professional setting. So that way, hopefully, this practice will be helpful for you to develop your skills with document design, because you may be needing to design documents in the future in your professional life. And of course, we already are finding in our class materials. The design of a document is very important, and there are various aspects of document design. And that doesn't apply just to the use of visuals and colors, but also even just the layout of the text itself, if it's a more textual-based document. And so for this project, you'll be creating a visual. And so it'll be either a flyer or a brochure. And so for as you create that flyer or brochure, you will, of course, want to make sure you are putting into practice the concepts on visual design. But for this, you'll be focusing on creating a flyer or brochure that is advertising your academic major or minor at Miami University. And your primary audience is prospective students who might be interested in that major or minor. Now, if you're somebody who has not declared a major, or then this is a way you can focus on a major that at least interests you as a possibility. And so for the content of that flyer or brochure, you'll want to make sure you're giving sufficient information about the major so that your target audience gets a good sense of it, gets their interest. So for example, it might be more general information about the major, such as, what does somebody study in this major? What are the requirements? Or what can you do with this major? Like the job opportunities that this major might prepare you for, or something else that may attract their attention about that major. And so you might use the Miami University website. That is, we have a website for each major with information about the department and the major. So that could be a great source for you to use, and just use that as your primary source, and just make sure you give credit to that as your source. And then, of course, as you are designing that flyer or brochure, you'll want to be putting into practice our concepts, contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, thinking about the colors, the visual elements of it, what the layout is going to look like, what kind of images you might want to include in there. And so, that way you can have a visually appealing and professional flyer or brochure as well. And of course, I do recommend using canva.com to create the flyer or brochure. It's a very helpful and easy tool to use. If you are familiar with a better tool that you're more comfortable with, that is okay. But this is a great tool to use, and I have a link on these instructions to Canva and their beginner's guide that you can use to create the flyer or brochure. But there's a second part of the assignment. So this is what we call the visual component of the project. But we also have a written component, and this is where, in addition to creating the flyer or brochure, you will also write a memo. And a memo is actually another common type of workplace document. And so this is where you'll be writing a memo of about 500 to 700 words that usually ends up being about 2 pages, single-spaced, or a page and a half, single-spaced, something like that, in which you'll literally go into an explanation of how you applied Williams' design principles to develop your flyer or brochure. It kind of walks through what were your design choices, what was the process like for you. And so this is where, the content of it is going to depend a lot on your own design and your choices that went into it on your part. But I want to see that you understand those design principles, understand your design choices and what you're trying to accomplish, and that you are doing your best effort to apply those. And of course, this being a memo, if you haven't written a memo before, I do have a sample memo here. So you can click that and see what the general formatting of a memo is like. And it's actually pretty simple and pretty easy to get the hang of. And so you can just imitate the formatting of the sample memo when you write your own memo explaining your visual. So here again, I have the link to the beginner's guide for Canva. And of course, in general tips here, for example, if you're using Canva, you can just download it as a PDF file. And sometimes Canva will have like a watermark on there. That's totally fine to leave that on there. You don't want to, you don't need to use any of their paid services. Just download the free file from them. And so for when you submit it, of course, you'll want to include the PDF file of your flyer or brochure, as well as your memo in which you go through how you applied Williams' design principles, and you'll address that memo to me. And of course, I have a short rubric here that kind of goes over kind of the key things I'm looking for. Obviously, we have the design principles here, the overall design, and the memo itself. All right, I hope this is helpful for you in thinking about what this project involves. And of course, make sure you read through the instructions more thoroughly on your own, just to make sure you have a good understanding of it. And of course, reach out to me if you have any questions, confusion, or there's something that this didn't address that I may have missed and that occurs to you. Feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to help clarify, to help you understand this assignment. And I hope you will enjoy doing this. I always enjoy reading all of these assignments as you put into practice our concepts on visual design.